The Big Bang Theory's best Stephen Hawking story fixed a Sheldon character flaw. Throughout its 12-season run, The Big Bang Theory TBBT built a sitcom empire on the quirks, eccentricities, and lovable dysfunction of its characters. At the center of it all was Sheldon Cooper, the brilliant but socially obtuse theoretical physicist who, despite his towering intellect, struggled with empathy, humility, and basic human connection. Over time, TBBT gave Sheldon moments of growth, but few were as profound, or as subtly transformative, as the show's best Stephen Hawking storyline. It was the rare intersection of comedy, emotion, and character development that did what few other moments could. It fixed one of Sheldon's most persistent character flaws. Sheldon Cooper, the brilliant narcissist. From the beginning, Sheldon was painted as a genius with a Nobel-sized ego. He spoke in a rigid, condescending tone, lacked a filter, and demanded the world bend to his will. For years, he viewed himself as the intellectual apex of his peer group, often dismissing the thoughts and feelings of those around him, even his friends. While this was a rich source of comedy, it also made Sheldon difficult to root for in early seasons. His flaw wasn't just arrogance, it was a fundamental lack of humility and the inability to genuinely respect others, especially those he deemed inferior. This character flaw came to a head in Season 5, when the show introduced a storyline involving one of Sheldon's personal heroes, Stephen Hawking. But instead of a dry celebrity cameo, the writers cleverly used this plotline to challenge Sheldon's ego in a way that forced real growth. The setup: Hawking humbles Sheldon. In Season 5, Episode 21, The Hawking Excitation, Howard Wolowitz is tasked with setting up a mechanical wheelchair ramp for Stephen Hawking, who's visiting Caltech. Aware of Sheldon's worship-level admiration for Hawking, Howard dangles the possibility of a meeting like a carrot in front of Sheldon's ego. However, in classic sitcom fashion, Howard strings Sheldon along with increasingly absurd demands, fetching lunch, polishing belt buckles, and even cleaning a pair of sneakers, before finally agreeing to introduce them. What seems like a typical Sheldon versus friends power struggle quickly pivots into something more meaningful when Sheldon finally meets Hawking. After giving Hawking a copy of one of his academic papers, Sheldon eagerly awaits validation. But instead, Hawking tells him there's a fundamental arithmetic error on page 2, then follows up with a brutal, "It's quite embarrassing. You made an arithmetic mistake on page 2. For once, the genius who mocks others' intellectual inferiority is brought crashing down by someone he reveres. Why this moment mattered. This wasn't just another punchline. Hawking's correction didn't humiliate Sheldon for laughs. It did something far more important. It forced Sheldon to confront the reality that he wasn't infallible, even in the one domain where he considered himself untouchable. Throughout the show, Sheldon's arrogance was consistently portrayed as the armor he wore to protect himself from emotional vulnerability. He didn't just think he was smarter than everyone, he needed to believe that, because admitting otherwise opened the door to insecurity, self-doubt, and chaos in the world he meticulously controlled. Hawking's blunt but respectful critique shattered that armor without cruelty. What made this moment brilliant was that Sheldon didn't spiral into defensiveness or retaliatory arrogance. He accepted the correction. Visibly humbled, he feints, a comedic beat, yes, but one that symbolically underlined the emotional weight of the encounter. In that instant, Sheldon experienced a quiet epiphany. Greatness doesn't mean perfection. Even geniuses make mistakes. And admitting them doesn't make you less, it makes you human. Hawking as a mirror for Sheldon. Stephen Hawking's presence on The Big Bang Theory was never treated as a gimmick. His brief appearances carried narrative weight because Hawking wasn't just a guest star, he was a mirror. He embodied everything Sheldon aspired to be, a pioneering mind, respected globally, yet gracious and open enough to laugh at himself and uplift others. In the hands of a lesser show, the storyline could have stopped at the surface level. Sheldon meets his idol, gets humbled, cue laugh track. But TBBT played it with nuance. Hawking, through his humor and poise, became the quiet antidote to Sheldon's worst tendencies. His matter-of-fact way of pointing out Sheldon's error wasn't malicious, it was grounded in humility, something Sheldon rarely practiced but desperately needed to learn. In many ways, Hawking modeled the kind of greatness Sheldon thought he had already achieved. But real brilliance doesn't need to be arrogant. Real brilliance invites correction, admits mistakes, and grows. That's what made Hawking's presence on the show transformative, not just for the plot, but for Sheldon's arc. The ripple effect on Sheldon's development. This storyline didn't transform Sheldon overnight, but it planted a crucial seed. In later seasons, we begin to see small, cumulative shifts in his behavior. He listens more. He shows genuine appreciation for his friends. He works through conflict with Amy. And while his ego never fully disappears, nor should it, for comedic purposes, his arrogance begins to soften. It's not a stretch to say that Hawking's humbling of Sheldon was a turning point. It was the first time someone Sheldon idolized dismantled his ego in a way he couldn't dismiss or rationalize. Unlike Leonard or Howard, Hawking wasn't a peer or a rival, he was the paragon. For Sheldon, this made the lesson impossible to ignore. When Hawking reappeared in later episodes, the dynamic between him and Sheldon had subtly changed. Sheldon still admired him, but now with more reverence than hero worship. Their interactions carried a mutual respect, and Sheldon often seemed more grounded in Hawking's presence. It was as if the earlier encounter reset Sheldon's compass. Humor with heart. Part of what made The Big Bang Theory so successful was its ability to blend geeky humor with genuine emotional growth. The Hawking storyline is a textbook example. The episode was laugh-out-loud funny. Between Sheldon scrubbing Howard's belt buckles and the boner punchline, the laughs were plentiful. But underneath the comedy was something real, a character being nudged toward humility by someone he deeply respected. Many sitcoms shy away from letting characters truly grow, fearing it might disrupt the humor. But TBBT managed to thread that needle, especially with Sheldon. His development was slow, uneven, and full of setbacks, much like real life. But every now and then, the show gave us a glimpse of what Sheldon could be if he embraced vulnerability. The Hawking episode was one such glimpse, and it resonated because it felt earned. A tribute to Hawking's legacy. Beyond fixing a flaw in Sheldon's character, the Stephen Hawking storylines on TBBT served as a loving tribute to the man himself. The show never reduced Hawking to a novelty or prop. He was portrayed as witty, formidable, and full of warmth, just as he was in real life. His ability to engage in self-deprecating humor, to intellectually spar with Sheldon, and to command respect with grace elevated the show's portrayal of scientific icons. Hawking's involvement also highlighted the real-world importance of science communication and inspiration. His cameos subtly reminded audiences that science isn't just formulas and equations, it's driven by human curiosity, fallibility, and perseverance. In humanizing Hawking, the show also humanized science itself. Conclusion: when genius meets growth, same narrative impact as Stephen Hawking. His first,